You are watching today an explosive war of words this morning over Daniel Andrews' claims Victoria was never offered army support to run Melbourne's bungled hotel quarantine scheme. Defence Minister Linda Reynolds saying the Premier's statement to yesterday's parliamentary inquiry yesterday was simply not true. In a statement, she said ADF help was offered and refused by the Andrews government on multiple occasions. I'm joined now by Queensland Senator Matt Canavan and senior writer at the Sydney Morning Herald and The Age, Jessica Irvine. Good morning, guys. Nice to see you this morning. To you, first of all, Matt, Daniel Andrews, he keeps keeping on. Someone's lying here, though.
Well, Daniel Andrews has been caught with his pants on fire here. You can't mislead a parliament, even if you're doing it by Zoom. That's no excuse. And that is exactly what Dan Andrews has done yesterday. He has misled the parliament, and he's done so according to his own words, because the Premier of Victoria put out a statement on the 27th of March announcing the hotel quarantine arrangements, in which he said, I've got it right here in front of me, he said that the Australian Defence Force will be engaged to support the implementation of these arrangements. So Daniel Andrews needs to go back to the Parliament and correct the record as soon as possible. That is what you do when you mislead the Parliament. People have been asking for answers for months from this government, and the first that they've given clearly are misleading ones. OK, Jess, it goes on and on for Victorians, and they're in the middle of this crisis, so you can understand why they're frustrated all round. They just want the job to be done. New South Wales and Queensland both accepted, as you know, ADF support, and Daniel Andrews says Victoria was never offered the same help. Do you buy that?
Yeah, look, I understand that the response from the Daniel Andrews team is that the support was not offered at a cabinet level, but it was offered sort of at a departmental level between sort of public servants. I mean, we've obviously, Matt's just outlined a statement from Dan Andrews himself. You know, at this point in the crisis, is he lying? Is he a man who's been under stress for a long period of time? Is he really trying to sort of cover up a paper trail at this point? I don't think so. I think he's probably just, you know, the help was there. Was it ever help to run the whole hotel quarantine system? No, it was just to help. There was always going to need to be other systems in place. So, and they failed terribly. Obviously, that's why we're here. But you know, it's just not my feeling that he's lying about that.
Well, the issue is that he didn't want to address any of those accusations. He said it was up to the inquiry. Now, inside the inquiry, it's not exactly clear what happened. It just muddies the waters, don't you think, Matt?
Well, there's got to be proper scrutiny here on Dan Andrews and the Victorian government. I mean, I'm getting a little frustrated with the view that, it's tough, this job, and so we've got to go easy on people. I mean, people are dying here, and we have a system that should be properly scrutinising government decisions. There's clearly been a massive stuff up on a grand scale here from the Victorian government, and no one is paying the price. That is unacceptable. Daniel Andrews continues to try and kick this political football down the road, but the sooner people are held accountable, the better decisions we'll get and better outcomes we'll get for people.
Look, they are paying the price in our aged care facilities. That is no doubt this morning. More terrible stories. I found this incredibly difficult to read this morning, the neglect in our aged care homes. The Australian reporting that residents of facilities infected with COVID-19 are being sedated. That's right, they're being sedated instead of being admitted to hospital as under siege staff struggle to cope. Sedated. Not just the elderly either in these facilities, even those in their 40s, sedated to keep them out of trouble. I mean, this is almost criminal, Matt.
It's unacceptable, Karl. I hope these reports are incorrect, because I can't fathom this kind of conduct happening in our country, in Australia. I certainly, my hearts go to all those people who've got family members in these facilities. One thing, though, that is very important is that I firmly believe, given what's happened all around the world, and here at Newmarch as well in Australia and New South Wales, people with COVID-19 need to be moved out of these facilities. It's not right to stay in an aged care facility. They're not medical hospitals, and they risk spreading the infection to other vulnerable people and health care staff. So I don't know what's going on between the state and federal governments, but it's got to be worked out. And hospitals should be taking people with COVID-19 in those circumstances. The Minister
was on our show a couple of days ago, and he didn't know of certain major things happening. That's shameful. Just the whole situation with our aged care facilities is shameful.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking here about patients with dementia or other mental problems, which mean that they can't confine themselves to their room. So if you've got an understaffed facility and they just cannot stop certain people from sort of wandering around the place, that's where the instances where they're using drugs to drug people. And this has actually come out in the Aged Royal Care Commission, that there's too much reliance on just deafening these, just drugging people so that they will be compliant with the system. I think that's absolutely inhumane. And you have to think about, what if it was me? You know, what if this was the way that I was going to spend my final days on earth? Because a lot of these people will sadly die from COVID. It's just horrible.
And all alone. All alone while this is happening. And it's absolutely 100% inhumane.
Yeah.
What has gone on and what continues to go on, and history will judge this as a sad chapter in our history of this country. Let's finish with this one. Queensland shut off. New South Wales and Victoria isolated. The Northern Territory warning it will close its borders for 18 months. The freedom of movement we once took for granted gone, Matt.
Look, I think state premiers and the Chief Minister of the Northern Territory are getting a bit ahead of themselves. The Northern Territory faced an election a couple of weeks, and I think the Chief Minister's statement yesterday is an election stunt gone wrong. He hasn't got much to run on as a record. Northern Territory jobs have been lost, their population's declining, so he's trying to look tough on borders, but it's absolutely backfired because it's hurting businesses, it's hurting business confidence, and we need to have sensible decisions on travel restrictions. But they need to respond to the evidence on the ground and where there is an outbreak, not just grandstanding and saying, let's close them for 18 months. I mean, who knows what the hell's going to happen the next 18 months? Look what's happened in the last 6 months. And
I hear, Matt, just quietly between you and I, and our viewers watching in the hundreds of thousands this morning, that you'll be running for Queensland Premier come October, with the ticket being that Brisbane will host the AFL Grand Final. Can you confirm that on our show this morning?
No, mate. I actually want to create a new state of North Queensland. I'm sick of Brisbane, so I'm certainly not going to be running for the premier of the whole state. Let's bring the AFL Grand Final up to Rockhampton, where I am. Let's do it here.
That was one of those uncomfortable laughs. I'm not really, but I'm kind of thinking of it, and I should. Jess, an AFL Grand Final in Brizzy, yay or nay?
Yeah, look, happy birthday, Karl. You can have it. You can have it up in Brisbane.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. See you soon.